When you're ready.
I am ready.
Are we on?
We are on. We are on for the past just about 10 seconds.
Okay, so. Hey everyone, Jared James here. Welcome to this episode of Today with Jared James. So much to talk about, guys. My God. I mean, honestly, there's been a lot that's gone on since the last time that I had gotten on here. First and foremost, let's say hello to producer Tom. Tom, how we doing, man?
Not too shabby. How are you doing?
Good, man. I almost feel bad when I say I'm flying solo because I don't mean like solo, like, obviously you're here. I just mean like at the table.
Yeah,
I'm flying solo. But
I gotcha.
Look, I was talking to Tom earlier. We're looking at, maybe I'll talk about this a little bit today, but we're potentially building out a studio actually at my house. And I was telling Tom, because he was talking about being in a different area, than the room of the pod. And I'm like, no, I like you to kind of chime in. I kind of like someone to play off of. I like seeing, whatever. But there's a lot to talk about with that. And in fact, I'll go into that in a little bit because there's a lot of things that are going to be changing and things we're going to be doing that I think a lot of you will have interest in. As I said, man, there has been so much that's gone on since the last time I was here. You had an assassination attempt.
Yep.
Sure
did.
God, did you see the Secret Service lady step down?
I didn't see that she stepped down.
Did you see any of the hearing?
I didn't see anything.
Oh, she had no choice but to step down.
Yeah, that's
she did not come off well.
Yeah.
I saw some of that, and I'm like, oh, God, like this is not going well. This is, that was, we have not seen that in a long time. It's so funny, too, because, I cover things, and I'm going to talk about one today. And especially this time of the year, you just realize how much in everybody's camp everybody is. And I almost wish sometimes you guys could, get in my head and realize that, I don't care who does dumb things. I just call out dumb things. That's just, what was I just saying to you right before this? I was like, did you watch the RNC? And then I was like, guy just can't help himself.
Nope.
Guy just can't help himself. I mean, he has this amazing moment where he gets shot, but he almost gets shot. You know what I mean? I mean, you're a centimeter from assassination. You're dead.
Yeah.
I mean, JFK was a centimeter from having his ear hit. Mm-hmm. Is really what happened there, And then you're like, if you just got up and said, I've learned a lot, and this is giving me new perspective, and I am ultimately about the people of this country, and we need to come together, and all this whatever. And it's funny, I was listening, and I'm like, there was about 2/3 of his speech that I was like, his speechwriters wrote that. And then he goes off, and I'm like, just stop.
And we're back.
Just come on, man, And so for any of you out there that listen to me and you're like, you hear me criticize one side or whatever, and you're like, oh, he's in that camp. Guys, I'm really not in a camp. Look, at the same time, you got the other side that says that Trump's trying to be a king, trying to be a what do they call it, a monarchy, and then they pick their next candidate with no vote. So I mean, it's a little hypocritical, So guys, I just think it's all stupid. I mean, how many times have I said it? Most of them are ayes, but not for independent. They're idiots. They're just, that's what I look at when I look at all this stuff. I'm more than happy. It was so crazy, the stuff you see after the assassination attempt. You just see how crazy people got. On one hand, they're like, he staged it. And it's just like, what? It's just like, guys, come on. This is, man. I hate political seasons. I just do. I mean, it gives a lot of content. I know that late night shows love it and, whatever else. But before I get into everything today, guys, can you just remember how much you loved everyone before you started knowing what side they were on and, all this dumb stuff that, ultimately really doesn't matter. I know policies matter and all that kind of stuff, but just not worth losing friends over. Everyone could disagree. Everybody can agree. Everybody, the older you get, it's like the more wisdom you get, you start to realize that not all, but most people fall in a certain place, not because they're an idiot. They either have skewed facts, or they think a little different, or they were raised a little different, or they went through a little different situation, and that doesn't make anybody bad. It's just people coming up with a different conclusion, which is fine. Some people like peanut butter, some people like jelly. Some people don't like either. Some people don't like sandwiches. Some like egg salad. You don't hate them because of it, And so at the end of the day, guys, if we can just hold on to a little bit of that, I get a lot of criticism, especially on my social channels, because I just say exactly what I'm thinking. And because everyone is so polarized, they're like, I feel like LeBron James, just shut up and dribble. They're like, don't talk about that. Real estate only. And I'm like, well, then you don't know me. Like I'm on those places because of my personality. I'm not going to shut off places to my personality. And by the way, the reason why I'm completely free to say what I want and whatever is because I'm good with it. Like I feel pure. Like I'm not a raging crazy person or like hate this one or like, it's just not my way. Like, so, and when you get upset and you start replying and DMing me and going crazy, you just show me that you are, or I get all these DMs and people say like, they tell me what I really meant when I say things. And I'm literally sitting there going, that was not in my head at all.
Seems like your stuff.
Yeah. That seems like your issue. Like that's not what I was, so part of dealing with a problem, guys, is recognizing you have one. So let's everybody look. Again, how many times have we said the last year, like when everyone gets crazy, make sure you don't. Okay, here's what's going to happen, guys. Regardless of who wins the election, nothing's going into chaos. We're not going to all of a sudden start nuclear, whatever. Like, guys, it'll be okay. The sun will come up. The sun will go down. The sun will come up. The sun will go down. Like, I get caring about things, but to the point that just some people get here, guys. Let's try to kind of stay out of that. So I'll probably have to repeat that message over and over again in the coming months.
Oh,
but
yeah, it's just July.
Yeah, I know. I was
just
thinking that it's July.
Yep.
Like, and it's already heated up.
Oh yeah.
Everything is just extreme.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so funny because everybody, they all put down the internet. And they're like, it's such a savage, sick place. And I'm like, who makes up the internet? You do. Mm-hmm. So while we're over here saying, what a disgusting place it is, and people don't, think about other people, and they don't have any tact, they don't have any whatever, they just attack people, and it's like, no, but that's just people. Like, we could stop that in a second. Very simple. My favorite right now is like everybody unfriending everybody and unfollowing. I'm just like, oh my God, guys, please. Like, can we not just form our next bubble where, we're shocked when someone believes different than us because we've created such a bubble around us that like we don't allow anybody who thinks different, whatever. It's just like, can we grow up like just a little bit? Just a little bit. That's all I'm hoping for. On that note, I had a good day yesterday. Yesterday I was at, I went over to BAM, the BAM Media, which is funny enough. So my son is actually an intern there. And it was so cool because I went there around lunchtime and he had already, he's calling old leads. Like all of you out there that listen to me and I'm like, hey, people are like, what's one of the best ways to like start creating business or whatever? And I'm like, go to a team, ask them for their old leads 6 months or beyond, tell them you want to practice your scripts from your Jared James coaching, have them give you those leads they're not following up with anyway, tell them you'll give them 10% if you close anything, right? And like I talk about that, but now I have a son, a 17-year-old who sounds like a kid. Like you guys have no excuse. He's booking appointments every day off of those leads. I show up yesterday at lunchtime, and he's like, I booked 4 appointments today. The last one was a $1.5 million property. And I'm sitting here going like, and I deal with adults every day who won't make calls, We were sitting out on the dock the other day. He was telling me how many appointments he set up each week, each day, whatever, how many calls he's making. He's making hundreds of calls every day. And I said, Bud, do you realize if you did that 3 mornings a week for yourself, you were not setting appointments for other people, you literally would do over $1 million in GCI, gross commission income. Mm-hmm. Like, dang, And so I went over there to see my son and Byron, who runs BAM Media and also the number one team in the state, real estate-wise. We did a podcast with my son, which is really cool, which will be coming out real soon. Nice. It was gonna come out today, but there was some stuff that went on that I'll talk about in a little bit here from commissions. Nothing with us. Anyway, so I was over there. I did that, and then I jumped on. They have a subscription based model also with a lot of their users, and so he asked me if I would jump on to. I think they call it their after hours, and kind of talk to their agents and talk to their people and whatever, and just answer Q&A and whatever. And so I did that, and man, it just opened my eyes to so many things. Like I've kind of dropped some hints lately that there's going to be some changes coming within our coaching and training programs. And, that's been going further and further. And, Tom and I were even right before we got on here.
Right before. Yep.
Emailing back and forth, sending in the app for approval, looking at what different, things are going to look like for our members. But one of my eye openers from being there was just like, I was looking at it and I'm going, how do I, number one, we're going to build a studio at my house.
Nice.
And that's going to give me the ability to go live more. That's going to give me the ability to do more podcasts. That's going to give me the ability to talk to our members more.
Right.
And that's what's really important to me is that, when you look at our student base, like we have a great coaching program. We have great coaches. One of the things that I hear most common is like, we wish we could hear from Jared more. We wish we had more. And I'm over here like creating content over here and going over here. And I'm like, I can't but you're doing good. Your business is doing good. And when I saw this, I just kind of had an epiphany. I'm like, I could do this. If I had this studio in my house, I think we're going to add something. And again, guys, this is not Bible yet. Like, this is just like I'm thinking out loud. Yeah, I'm just talking right now. Of like, maybe we do a thing now when the app comes out and the new members community comes out and the new thing that we're going to release. Hopefully, fingers crossed at the advance, we shall see. This new platform we're going to do, this new way of doing coaching and training. I think I'm going to do some kind of regularly scheduled, whether it's twice a month, every other Wednesday, every other Thursday, something like that, where I'm going to get on in just a live stream with just our coaching members. And whether it's covering specific topics and going in detail, taking Q&A, and just really giving them, that unique access to kind of give them what they want your models, they want your stuff, but they want to know, like, you're like, what do you think? What do you, and so we're working on it, folks. Like, we're working on it. Like, we're working on getting a studio set up and what that's going to look like. And so there's some really cool things in the works that just kind of being around some other stuff, I've been like, hey, we can do that. That will also allow me to get much more active on not just YouTube Shorts, but now YouTube, where you've got the actual full camera ongoing and where I can just go on and, shoot the crap for 45 minutes on something. Or maybe there's, let's face it, guys. One of the things that is just so limiting is I do a ton of reels and, we get a lot of views, which is awesome. I did one on, Howard Hanna the other day, coming out with the way that they're pivoting to get buyers to work with them. And, day one, it's at like 150,000 views. That's on one platform. I think it was another 40,000 on another. When all's said and done, after 24 hours, you got 250,000 views, which is a lot of people, right? But the problem is when you start doing these reels, 60 to 90 seconds, you're just really limited. Like, you have to just higher level. You can't really get into the detail. And it always cracks me up when I see people comment on my stuff or they DM and they're like, oh, way to simplify such a complex issue. And I'm like, it's 60 seconds.
You do it.
Yeah. Would you like me to make a simple, would you like me to make it more complex? It's 60 seconds. What do you want me to do here? And so I'm just thinking about it and I'm like, that would allow me a lot of the reels that I do. And I would love to hear from you guys that are listening right now. For those of you that watch a lot of my reels on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube Shorts and TikTok and, all these different places, would you like to see, comment below and let me know, or, just however, comment below, however you're watching this, whatever, and let me know, would you like to see a lot of those reels in longer format to where instead of doing a 60 to 90 second, I put up the 60 to 90 second on Instagram, on all those places, but then I go shoot a separate YouTube video that's 7.5 minutes long. And I actually go into detail on what this means and would that be something that you guys would be interested in? I'm curious because we're setting up a system where I could do that.
Yeah.
Now, if it's not valuable to people, then I'm not going to do it. But let me hear from you guys. Comment below, shoot us a DM, let us know. Would that be valuable? Because if so, we are about to have the ability to do that at scale to where I would literally just I step out and just shoot a video or I do whatever, I would then just go down in the studio and boom, let's do it. I'm just going to shoot it, So I'd love to know what you guys think about that. But so anyway, that was a really cool experience. I had a great time where we did a lot of business, and then we went to dinner. We were, I think, out till 10.
Nice.
We went to dinner at 5.
There you go.
That's a long dinner.
That is, yeah.
It's a long
That's
dinner.
an event.
And I've been getting lately, I got several messages last night. I thought I saw you in New Haven. What are you doing in our area? Was that you I saw at the whatever? And I'm going, and I'm thinking this is my area. Hey everyone, if you are not signed up for the Jared James Advance, Orlando, Florida, September 19th and 20th, this is your opportunity to do just that, guys. We have released our agenda, and we've got a lot to talk about. I mean, my God, it's almost overwhelming when I look at it, but we're going to do the normal things, right? We're going to talk about how to get listings. We're going to talk about how to take a transaction and multiply it into many others. We're going to talk about very timely things right now, how to eliminate that friction with buyers, and what are we saying, and what are the most common objection handlers right now. We're going to talk about what is the open house of the future look like, because that's a real opportunity. And so how do we take advantage of that? We're going to talk about AI, but in a practical sense, not just to overwhelm you and go, look, the world's changing, robots are taking over, in a practical sense. We're going to talk about team building. We're going to talk about hiring assistants and scaling and all of these kinds of things. And if you're a broker, we'll talk about mergers and acquisitions, culture, retention, all of these things, guys. So I recommend go to jaredjamestoday.com/advance. Check out the agenda that's there. There might even be more things that are added. In fact, I just got a text message that someone else is going to join us that is not on that agenda just yet, so you're going to see that as well. But this is where you want to be, guys. We know there's a lot of changes happening, and this is where you come to be the pro. This is where you come to make sure that regardless of the changes that happen, you are the agent that is standing at the end because you were prepared. When the rules change, they change for everyone. And so what you do moving forward matters, and this is where the best come to get better. So jaredjamestoday.com/advance. And as always, this is our 10-year celebration. So if you don't have tickets yet to the 10-year celebration party on Friday night, the event is the 19th and 20th, but the actual after party, that ticket is separate. That's Friday night, the 20th. We've got a band coming in. We are going to have an absolute blast. Come and celebrate with us. So stay through to Saturday, guys. I cannot wait. Get yourself, your team, your brokerage, your colleagues. Get there, guys. I promise you, you will not regret it. I'm ready, guys. I got pages and pages of notes of stuff I have not released that I am just like, I cannot wait to be delivering there. So will I see you in Orlando? I hope so. See you there. I almost don't want to write that back.
Oh, just visiting.
Yeah, exactly. I got a lot of those. They're like, what were you
left
visiting
already.
for?
Yeah.
What were you in town for? And I'm like, well, because it's where we decided to go. Like that's, and I ran into my old boss when we were at dinner.
Okay.
One of my first bosses from the moving company.
Nice.
That was really cool.
Yeah.
So talked to him for a while, had a drink with him. Like that was honestly a really cool thing. So a lot of things are happening right now. We're building out studios. We're looking at ways to add for you guys to bring more content, but more specific to our people, training, access to me, like all that kind of stuff. All in this, just effort to bring you what you want in this world that we're heading into, and honestly what you need with everything that's going on right now, okay? So on top of that, guys, there's been a lot of other things. I mean, yesterday it was interesting because the reason why my podcast with Bam is actually going to be pushed out till next week is because somebody, one of my counterparts, friends on Instagram, Ricky Caruth, he broke news that he had talked to the CEO of EXP and that EXP was no longer going to be offering, allowing broker-to-broker compensation, which, would have been huge news. And, Bam, they do a daily show and whatever on YouTube. They came out and talked about it. And then almost immediately following, Ricky took it down. And now it's like, okay, what's going on? Whatever. And most likely what happened was that the CEO said, hey, please take that down. That's, because the NAR settlement, you're allowed to do broker to broker. You're not allowed to display on the MLS. And so we're like, wait a second, now we are completely decoupling, like we're going further. And that's a whole other story that I may or may not get into today. But then, the CEO of EXP, Leo, who's become a friend, I was actually, funny enough, him and I were texting earlier yesterday, before I even knew. But here's where I'm going. So Leo starts reaching out to Byron, and it's just like, hey, I want to come on the show. I'm on vacation, but I want to come on the show and clarify. And so obviously he didn't think that was completely accurate, the stance of EXP. And he wanted it to be clarified. And you know what? Kudos to him, because I love leaders like this that he's on vacation. He's like, I don't want any time wasted here. I need to get on and speak to everybody and clarify. This is not, let me tell you what we're actually thinking. And so he left his vacation, and this is why my podcast, although we shot it yesterday, is getting put out next week, is because before us, he shot that one spur of the moment live and needs to get it out to clarify their message. And so they did that. And I had no idea when we were texting earlier that he was on vacation. Now I feel bad. But that was a big thing, because you're starting to see this from more and more places where, they're starting to say, I think even the California documents came out and said that they're not going to have anywhere on their forums for broker-to-broker compensation, meaning that a listing agent is listing the property and offering XYZ out too, which is interesting because that's still allowed. So it's so funny to me because everybody right now wants to know, what's the future look like? What's it going to look like? What's it going to look like? And I'm telling you guys right now that whoever tells you they know exactly what it's going to look like is lying to you, because the dust is still up in the air, guys. It still hasn't settled, and it's going to be phases. So like if you look at where we are right now compared to where we were 3 months ago, compared to where we were 6 months ago, compared to where we were, I promise you every quarter has been different than where you were the 3 months before, and every time you thought you were settled and this is what it's going to be, the goalpost just keeps getting moved. I think a lot of you have seen that. And so to think that that's not going to continue to happen, I think that's absolutely going to continue to happen. And I think anybody who says that for complete certainty where everything's going is kind of, I have an idea in my head where I think it's going to be, no doubt about it. But I'm also not being super outward about it, because I don't think it matters, first off. It doesn't matter what I think. The bottom line is, at the end of the day, we're going to find out as the dust settles what the rules are, and we're going to operate within those rules, period. Okay? I will tell you that one thing I haven't really announced yet, but I guess I'll announce it right here, is that I think my stance when it comes to our people, our students, whatever, when it comes to buyer agency, because that one of the new rules that's going to be put in place as of August 17th, even though in other places this was already the rule, whether everybody was doing it or not, is that you have to have some form of a signed agreement in order to tour a home. Now, whether that's a touring agreement, whether that's an agency agreement, whatever that may be, but I feel like the thing that's not being talked about that is really going to become my official position and what we're going to teach our students is that having a signed buyer agency agreement does not mean that it has to be an agency agreement where they can't use anybody else, that is exclusive. I actually think what we're going to start promoting to our people is non-exclusive buyer agency agreements, meaning that you have to sign an agency agreement with me in order to show homes, but this doesn't mean you're fully committed. You could use someone else if you want. Now, a lot of you would hear that and go, well, wait a second. That means they could use you and then go use someone else. Well, for the majority of you, prior to this whole settlement, it's what you were doing anyway. You didn't have a signed agreement. They could have used anybody else anyway. And for the rest of you, what person is going to meet someone, not know anything about them, not have any context with them, not have any relationship with them, and say, okay, yeah, I'll sign up with you for the next 6 months? That's a hard sell, and it goes against everything that's Relationship 101. And so I think what we're going to train people to do is to actually sign up for a non-exclusive agency agreement with that person so that they can have a chance to get to know you and that you can actually care about them and work towards the lifetime value of that person and not just the one time, not just trying to lock them in, which is a completely different mentality. And if you think about it, guys, that's how everything works. Like, you didn't go up, meet someone and go, want to get married?
Well, there are shows about that.
And I think you watch them.
I do.
I think you actually watch them.
Do.
But I mean, guys, that's not generally how it works. Like, just because these rules are being put in place doesn't mean that the rules of life, the rules of relationships, how these things work have changed. It takes context, it takes time, it takes trust, it takes all of these things. And so I don't think there's anything wrong with meeting somebody, explaining what's happening, and offering to do a non-exclusive buyer agency. Because most of you know, like, there's the theory of this industry, and there's the theory, and then there's the reality. If those people are committed to you, then they're going to work with you. And they're going to work with you over and over and over again. They're going to keep sending you. And it's, again, those that are in it for the long term, those that are in it for the relationship and the lifetime value of that person and they understand what I'm saying right now. Those that feel that they have to lock someone down in order to work with them, otherwise they might leave, well, then you need to look at your system and say, why is it they want to leave? You need to look at it and say, why is it these people don't want to stay committed? Why am I afraid of them? Now, look, are there people who are going to leave you no matter what? Guys, there were people who left you even prior to these new rules. There were people who leave you even when you have a signed agreement. Like, this is when all of those things that you've heard me say now come to fruition. When I say that the people who win moving forward are going to be relational over transactional, this is what I'm talking about. Transactional is thinking you can lock people in and that means they're going to be a client for life. Relational is understanding that whether you have that contract or not, they're committed to you because of what you're doing with them and the relationship you've formed and the trust that you've built and the time that you've spent with them and what you've done with them. And that doesn't mean there won't be one person here or there that strays or does whatever, but that doesn't blow up the whole idea of relationship, okay? And so I haven't done too much on this yet, but like the more that I look at things and the more that I'm just figuring it out and I'm trying to figure out with these new rules, because let's just be clear, these rules are stupid. Like a lot of them are not, they don't make a lot of sense. Some of them, not all, but most. But we need to be looking at how do we eliminate friction? How do we eliminate friction? Knowing that we have to have a signed agreement, well, that's friction. Thinking that you have to get someone to be committed, well, that's friction. Knowing that you have to get someone committed with a financial responsibility now, potentially, if the seller is not offering out compensation, that's friction. And so we need to be looking at it not from our perspective. Again, the argument, the transactional argument of, well, then they could just leave me, whatever. Guys, that is looking at things from our perspective. And what I'm telling you is that moving forward, when you're looking at your business and you're trying to figure out who are people going to flock to, who are they going to work with, it's going to be the businesses, it's going to be the agents that stop and say, what is good for the consumer? What is going to eliminate friction for the consumer? What is going to want to make them come to me and stay with me and refer me and work with me over and over again? And that's going to come down to your ability to eliminate friction within the process, no matter what those rules are. How do you follow the rules but eliminate friction? And I think one of the ways, as I'm looking at that process, is to follow the rules and get a signed agency agreement before you're showing homes, but to make it non-exclusive. And say, I want to earn your business, and here's what this means. And I take a risk by taking you out here, but I've got every access that everyone else has, and potentially more, depending on the tools and the systems that my brokerage offers. I've mentioned this many times, but we have a company in our portfolio called First Up, FYRSTUP. And we are signing up brokerages in places left and right now because there are brokers that are taking this serious. And they're saying, wait a second now, we need to give our agents a unique advantage. We need to be able to look at a buyer and say, hey, we've got every property, we've got every access to every property available that anybody else can show you. But when you work with one of us, when you work with one of our agents, we also have pre-market inventory within our brokerage that if you are a signed client of ours, we are allowed to show you this before the overall public market in a completely compliant manner. And so now we've got to start to look at what tools are we using that actually give you an advantage in the marketplace compared to what are the ones we're just checking the boxes and, whatever happens, happens. And so you have to start to look at things like that. I think that non-exclusive buyer agency agreements are going to become a thing now. And I don't have any problem with that. I really, like I said, most of you listening to me weren't even signing buyer agency agreements. We're just kind of trained to argue. We're trained to, that's bad, that's whatever. Guys, train yourself right now to be thinking from the perspective of the consumer, not yourself. If you think about yourself, you're going to win some people. You're going to, but if you think about the consumer, you're going to win your marketplace. You have to ask yourself, what is the goal here? Is it to win sometimes, or is it to win your marketplace? Well, that's all about how you're thinking about the adjustments and the pivots you're making in your business, and you need to be coming from a consumer-first basis. That is how you will win. And you got to train yourself because that's not normal. We think selfish. We think about us. But here's the crazy thing. When you think about the consumer first, guess what? You win in the end anyway. It's funny how that happens. It's like when you go and you volunteer somewhere, you do a charity, you do stuff for other people, and it's like, who actually wins in the end? You gave, but you win. You feel amazing. You've done something good. And so you have to think of it like that. This business is not charity. It's obviously a very profitable business for those that put the consumer first, but we're going to find out who does that moving forward. Okay, but that's the litmus test we've got to think from. Every time these new decisions are being made and these new things are coming up right now, we can't be thinking selfishly. We can't be thinking about how it used to be. The game has changed, guys, okay? So we need to be thinking consumer, and what does that mean and how does that help them, okay? Now, on that end, I talked about this on Instagram, and it's so interesting. And this is example of what I'm talking about. But some of you saw, like, from an investment standpoint right now, I don't even know, do you call it the Biden administration? They just put together a potential rule they want to enact, which is that they want to put a 5% cap on rentals, meaning you can't go more than 5% year over year over year. And this is interesting to me because when you first hear that, it sounds good, right? Like, because rentals are out of control, right? And so, like, when I say that, Tom, you're probably like, oh. Hey guys, I want to talk to you about an amazing real estate tool right now called Mosaic. You know, if you want to take your people off of the portals where they're all hanging out and whatever and into your ecosystem, this is the tool that does that. You know, this is a beginning to end, not a CR, it's not another CRM, it doesn't replace that, but it's a beginning to end system that really looks at the lifetime value of your client and looks at every part of that process and takes care of all of it in a way that's completely transparent. So yes, they've got search, they've got transaction coordination, they've got, even for us, when we do things like we teach our students the Core 100, they've got the ability to put those people in there, track what's happening, do all of that in an amazing way. But probably the thing that I love about this more than anything is the transparency. You know, in an industry that keeps talking about transparency, and usually when you hear something over and over again, it means that it's not being done at all. This is actually a transparent tool. This is the first tool that I've seen that actually brings the consumer into the transaction. And I think that is the next level of where we are going within this industry. You know, you hear from so many buyers and sellers that, oh, my agent didn't do anything, or I feel like they're not, and there's not this communication going on. This is the first tool I've seen, almost like the early days of Dot Loop where you had that collaboration, but it was just for the document and the signature. They can do that with the transaction now, not only with the clients, but with the vendors, whoever it is, in an amazing way where they can see every step of what's going on. You can write notes to them back and forth. They can see every part of the paperwork and everything and the way that you decide to show it. It's really the next level of what we need to be doing from a consumer experience perspective, so they know what's happening, and more importantly, we drive that lifetime value back to you. So if you haven't yet, guys, this is a tool you're going to hear over and over again. You're going to hear me talk about it because I really think it's my role to not just define what the problems or solutions are, but provide the tools that will actually get you there. And while so many tools right now are just check the box and just say you have them, this is one yourself, your team, your brokerage. If you're not on it yet, you need to be. This is not the last you're going to hear about this. They're going to grow astronomically, and this is something you need to get on board with if you're going to operate. If you're going to be one of those people that really overcomes and is that top producer in your area, you've got to have the right tools in place, and Mosaic is one of those right now. So do yourself a favor. Go check out mosaic.io, MOSAIK.io. Again, MOSAIK.io. You won't regret it, guys. Send us questions if you do, but this is one of those ones that you're going to look back on and remember, amazing tool. And when I first saw that, well, I think a lot of you know how I think. My first reaction was, not your job. You guys know that I'm a free market guy. I am. Stuff goes up, stuff goes down. Like that's what happens. Supply and demand. The reason why prices go up is demand. It's over demand, right? And but there are some issues with this. I posted about this, and I mean, NAR came out and just completely attacked it. Just about every major real estate person I know came out and said, no chance. That is a disaster. Not only because they've tried it in other areas and it's a disaster, it's bad for renters, but at the same time, let's talk about what that is. Well, again, you guys know my whole way of thinking is that not the government's role to cap the free market. It's called the free market it's not free to a point, it's the free market. But why are we capping rentals but not taxes, not insurance, not the things that are making those rentals go up? Why are we penalizing? And by the way, this only happens on people who have 50 or more doors for investments, which means that they're basically like full-time investors. This is how they make their money. This is what they do. They invest in places. Now think about what invest means. Invest means I take a risk and I am hoping I have a return. What happens when there's no longer that return? What do investors stop doing? They stop investing. They take their money and they go, hey, we're not dumb. We're going to go somewhere where they don't try to control how this works. And so, and I think what so many investors and myself were frustrated by when we saw this rule, which I don't think it'll pass, by the way, because it's idiotic. But I think what so many of us were frustrated by is insurance premiums continue to go through the freaking roof. Taxes. We're not getting anything more. Nothing seems to be better. And yet taxes, property taxes, doubling, tripling, more. Where's the 5% cap on that? Where's the 5% cap on taxes? I don't think we're going to see that coming. And so my point is that this is like a typical political move. It looks great, 5% cap, look at that, whatever. And yet when you look at why they keep going up, it's not necessarily just because of supply and demand. It's because all of the other costs involved with owning that property keep going up and up and up at a rate higher than 5%. It's like when you go to a restaurant. And you go to that restaurant, and like the other night I was at a restaurant, I got California rolls with my sons. And they were expensive. And I'm like, what the heck? And I was kind of joking with the owner, because I know the owner there, whatever, and I was kind of joking around with her, and she just went into like a thing. Like, it was clearly a thing for her. And she's like, Jared, the price of the food just keeps going up and up and up. She goes, what am I supposed to do, charge $30 for California rolls? She's like, I can't make any money anymore. Like, this is insane. So you're going to, by the way, that's a very similar situation. You're going to cap what she can charge? Are you going to tell her that she can't raise her prices more than 5% next year? Because her prices are coming from the cost of goods. That's what we need to remember. Her prices are literally a direct reflection of what it's costing her to make that and get that, which has skyrocketed. So when you start talking about rentals, it's the big boogeyman, the investors, because they're the bad ones who invest in neighborhoods, invest in places, give people homes, keep them in good, whatever. Look, I know there's slumlords, but that is not the majority of people, okay? And so when you look at these people and you look at, the fact that they need to have a return, otherwise they're going to move on, many of them are not raising rents because they want to raise rents. They get to know these renters. It's because all of their other costs keep skyrocketing. And so I guess I just get to the point where, like, I get sick and tired. Can we stop focusing on the wrong thing? Can we stop focusing on what happened instead of what's making it happen? There's a reason these things keep going up, and it's because their costs keep going up. And when you tick those people off because you go after them, whatever, great, they stop investing. That's what happens. And then you don't have investment in an area. They go somewhere else. And by the way, we have area after area where that's actually already happened, and that's not good for an area. You need people to invest in an area and care about that area, and that stuff is absolutely important. Okay, and so I don't think that'll pass, but it's important for you guys to understand what's going on, and it's more important too. I love to hear you guys' feedback, like whether you like, dislike, whatever. I don't care when people disagree. Like, I think it's great. In fact, a lot of my opinions are formed over time by things I see from other people. Like, I'm I'll look at things and go, that actually makes sense. Or, no, that's just dumb. That, but like, I look at them all and I'm like, that does make sense. Okay, wait a second. Didn't take that into account. I throw things into that little AI generator called my brain, and I just go like, does that make sense? Does that make, and you just kind of, So I love hearing you guys' feedback. Like, I literally do. I would love to hear why it's a good idea, but don't come in with any emotion. That's what always gets me, is the emotion. People come in with emotional arguments that don't. When it comes to the economy, emotion has no place. I just put up a reel the other day, and I talked about how prices on homes in June, while they slowed, the number of homes sold slowed, the pricing was the highest it's ever been. Record prices. And it's so interesting because the last 2 years I've been making videos telling people, you better buy, prices are going up. Prices are going up, guys. Prices are going up. There's a difference between a good time to refinance and a good time to buy. Like, you're confusing the interest rate with whether you should. Prices are going to go up. It's called supply and demand. And guys, thousands of comments in there. You're ridiculous. You're just pushing for the industry. It can't happen. I can't even afford this, and I can't even. Emotional. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whether you feel that way, you don't. Prices are going to go up. And what happened? Kept going up. Just like we've been saying. Because the emotion of it doesn't matter. Like the I feel this way. I feel that. Doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, we kept telling you prices are going to increase, prices are going to increase, prices are going to increase. And what has happened? Prices have increased. Okay? Now, I'm up in the air. I'm starting to see some winds of change. Number of months of inventory just jumped to 4.1 months. When there was times most of us were at 1.2, 1.4. There's some places that are still in the ones. But 4.1 months of inventory for anybody out there listening like that doesn't understand means that if, based on the number of homes that on average sell in your area, if no other home came on the market, you would have enough homes for them to purchase for the next 4.1 months. That's what months of inventory means, for anybody who doesn't understand that. Anything 6 months or below is considered a seller's market, meaning sellers are in control. So when we were at 1.2, talk about a seller's market. Now, 4.1 is the highest level we've been at since May of 2020. So it's inching towards being healthy. 6 months below is a seller's market. 7 months and above is a buyer's market. 6 to 7 months is what I call equilibrium. It's a completely healthy market. Guys, we are marching towards a healthy market right now, which is not a bad thing in my mind, okay? Like, I think that's actually a positive thing. More inventory, competition, the whole, like a regular market, you know? So we'll see where that goes. But there's another part of this market right now, too, that we're not paying enough attention to, which, again, we got all these boogeyman investor, you know, that whole thing I said before, you know, well, yeah, get the investors. In fact, I think Biden even came out when he asked for this 5% rule, and he said, I'm sending a clear message to these, he called them something investors or something. And I'm like, well, they're not the problem. They're putting money into the area. Like, they made money and they're investing. That's a good thing. But there's also a lot of you listening right now, you think that a huge part of our market and what you're afraid of in our industry right now is institutional investors. You know, these investors buying up hundreds and thousands of properties and everything else. And the truth is, guys, they don't make up as much as you think they do. They really don't. So in the last 12 months, and I'm going to start talking about this a lot more at events and other places. Okay, I just actually got off a call actually with the CEO of Privy, Privy, Privy.pro, where, you know, I'm looking for like these tools and these things that are really going to promote the stuff that I'm about to teach to make it easy for people, because I believe that I have a role where it's not only my job to, you know, define and what the problem is and then the solution, but like what's the tool to do it. And we were talking, and it was something like 26, 27% of the market in the last 12 months of residential real estate was investors, almost 30%. And I said to him, and I'm like, I don't think most of our people, almost 30% of their business was investors the last 12 months, which means that is a huge missed opportunity. And when we were talking about this, it was interesting because, you know, my initial thought, and most people are like, whoa, it's institutional though. It's, you know, it's not real, it's institutional. Hey everyone, I want to take a moment and talk to you about a really cool company called Privy. You know, if you were listening to this episode or even moving forward here, you're going to notice that I'm going to talk a lot about investors and how I think this is a huge part of the market that if you're growing a real estate business, we're not paying enough attention to. You know, I'm a big believer here that sometimes to grow your business, you don't just have to pick up a piece of the pie that's already there. Sometimes you have to go to a completely different pie. And it's so interesting because when you look at it, you look at all the data and you see that, you know, 26, 27%, almost 30% of all residential transactions in the last 12 months were investors, right? They were investors. And when I was an agent, like a ton of the business that I did were investors. And so a lot of you hear that and you're like, oh, it's institutional investors. Do you know institutional investors only make up about less than 3% of the overall market? And that's actually going down for the first time in years, which means that we have this huge number of people who are buying and selling properties all of the time, right under our nose, thousands of transactions. They're going to happen regardless. The only question is, are they happening with you? And that's the key thing that I want you to understand. And so when you look at Privy and what they do, they make you the go-to person to work with when it comes to finding investments, when it comes to finding out what a good deal is, when it comes to finding out what the right neighborhoods are, what the wrong neighborhoods are, what previous people had did, all at the touch of a button, right? And so all of a sudden, it's funny, I look at their stuff and I'm like, you know, I worked with all these investors when I was selling real estate, and I'm like, how did I do this without this kind of a tool? And you don't have to do that. Now these kinds of tools are there. And so you're going to hear me in the future talking a lot about working with investors and what that looks like. And like I've said over and over again, it is my job to not only tell you what the problems are and what the solutions are, but ultimately to give you the tools that you need so that you can be the go-to source for something like that. And man, are these people worth a lot of money to you. So do yourself a favor, guys. Go to privy.pro. That's Privy.pro. Pro, amazing tool. You can ask us questions. There's more things even coming down the road with them that are just going to blow you away. But this is a tool you need in your business, especially for what it costs. It's not a cost, though. It's an investment, but it's well worth it. Let's start getting those investors. And it's funny because when you do the research, institutional purchasing is actually less than 3%. And it actually, for the first time in years, went down in the last 12 months. Now, most of you hear that and you had no idea because it wasn't convenient to understand that or believe that. But for those of you that are willing to understand that, like, there is such an opportunity right now with investors. You know, with the right tools, with the right education, understanding, knowing how to get in front of them. Like, sometimes you don't have to, you know, take a bigger piece of a pie. You just need to get into a different pie itself, you know? And, you know, one of the reasons I'm talking about really kind of going into this stuff now in the near future here and just really going all in depth when it comes to investors is because, you know, when I was selling real estate, especially, my God, when I was at my peak, a big percentage of my business was investors. It was just so predictable. Like, they are sitting on lines of credit through hard money lenders, private investors, and they just find me a deal, buy it, find me a deal, buy it, find me a deal, buy it. Why would you not want that person? Why would you not want, look, we all want repeat customers. They're the gold, guys. The people who are buying every 5, 7, 10, 12 years over and over again, repeat business, whatever. But why wouldn't you want people buying every 5, 7, 10 weeks? I mean, that's a good client. Like, that is the way that we turn our eyes and we turn our head and don't even pay attention to this huge part of the market boggles my mind. But man, is it an opportunity for so many of you. And so that's another thing I want to hear from you guys. Like, comment below. Do you want me to start teaching a little bit more on here about investing and about what that looks like? I'm not even just talking about investing itself. That's important, but I mean working with investors, working with these people who are already buying thousands of properties every year right under your nose. Your name's just not on them. Think about that. Your name's just not on those contracts, but they're happening regardless. You know, an investor only cares about who finds them the deal, brings it to them first. Awesome, I'll use you. You know, and that's what was really cool. I was just on the call with them, and they were showing me this new feature they have called Fast Match. And basically, their technology is just out of this world. But you can basically take, their tool, and it does all this work. I was talking to one of my friends, and it was like, he's an investor, and he's like, I used to have 4 screens open and spend days to get all this, and they just pull it immediately. And you can see every flip, every buy and hold, every rental, everything that someone did in a given area, down to what they paid, how much they put into it, what's everything. And then they have this Fast Match thing where you can just click Fast Match, and it's like, it immediately shows you active every potential property right now that's just like that in a given area. That is, you can just go get the exact same kind of property right now that has the same, LTV, that has the same, it's just, the technology now is amazing. The ability to be able to go in front of an investor and have that available to you in a way that when I was selling, I didn't have that. I had to manual labor everything. I had to understand everything, whereas you can look at this thing and be educated on the market and what's going on in 2 minutes and know more than most investors. And it's a really cool place that I think we're going to right now, that not enough people are paying attention to, that I think I'm going to start getting in on that and just telling people, like, that's an opportunity right there. Everyone wants to know how to get listings, how to get transactions, and that's a major way right now. So we'll see. If you guys want to hear that, comment below. Let me know. Love to do more on that. And I think I am. I mean, that's part of the reason why I was talking to them, is that I'm like, hey, let's formalize this. Like, I want say in how this works and what you guys are doing, because I think this can be a big help. That's been one of my things lately too, is that I've been looking more this past 6 months at companies and saying, who can help our people? Like, what are the places that I need to be promoting and saying, hey, this is, because again, it's not my job just to define a problem and then a solution. We got to give you the tool too and say, this is what makes it easy. Yes, you need to be a buyer's agent, but if we don't tell you that you need to be driving a car, you're not as effective of a buyer's agent. Nobody wants a ride the bus buyer's agent, and that's what tools are. They're out there. And so that's another thing that I'm doing right now, is I'm looking at my reach and saying, how can we kind of pool together the things people should be using that would really that'll really help our people to do their jobs more efficiently. I've said all along, the role of technology is to free people up to do what they should have been doing all along. It doesn't replace you. It's not the next AI, whatever. It's just what frees you up to do what you should have been doing all along. Relationships are powerful. Being first is powerful. Getting in front of people is powerful. I saw a thing the other day, and I'm probably going to talk about this at the advance. Like 65% of sellers that list their property, they list with an agent because of proximity. Like, think about that. Proximity, meaning a referral, meaning they see your content, meaning in some way they're in the approximate connection to you, And so your real thing is how do we make that happen? How do we do that more, And so that's something that I take really serious. Another thing that's happened, we talk about all these pivots and everything. I mentioned it earlier, but some of you like this, some of you don't like this, but I'm not doing it as a promotion, non-promotion, although I give kudos, just like when Zillow released their touring agreement. I'm like, I don't know that that's their role. I think that's the broker's role. I think it's going to change over time, but I gave them kudos at least for the idea that, hey, you're trying to do something. You're trying to adjust. Remember, the first change you see is not the end. Remember, I told you it's going to be, over time. You're going to see different changes. It's going to keep happening, right? And so I saw that Howard Hanna, a company that I've done a ton of work with, they made a decision to try to get people to work with their agents, buyers to work with their agents, that when somebody signs with and uses one of their agents and they use their mortgage company, they're going to give them a 0.5% off of the sales price rebate at the closing. It's powerful stuff. Now, you can look at it and go, well, then they're charging more for this. And they're doing, look, I get, guys, you can go through all of that. I get it. Like, you can, but it's an example of pivoting. It's an example of making an offer. You got to make an offer. You can't just sit back. Like, that's marketing. You got to make an offer, And so I give them credit. It might change. They might try other things, but like, they are trying to give their agents an advantage. And I think other brokerages are going to do it. And I'm going to use my platform to share that with you when they do it. When brokerages try things, whether they end up working or not working, I'm going to use my platform to tell you guys, here's something people are doing. Here's something that's working. Here's something that didn't work. Like, I think that's part of my role here. And so they lay that out, and I'm not surprised that they're trying something like that. I mean, I know the leadership over there, largest family-owned real estate company in the country that most people who aren't in the East Coast never even heard of, and yet they're, enormous. I go do their event, and it's bigger than most of the brands that I do. It's like they fill arenas and do like they're, and so well-run, great company, like so many of the other ones we work with, guys. Like, just, there has to come a point, everyone, that we realize we're in this together, that when we hear great ideas from other companies, we don't shoot them down. Maybe we try them. We're like, let's try that here. Let's give that a shot here. Let's see what works for us, Because at the end of the day, as I've said many times, I'm not rooting for any particular company. I'm rooting for the industry. That's it. I'm rooting for the industry. And let's support each other and help each other, and hope each other does well. Because, there's a bunch of different ways to grow. One is to knock everybody down, and, one is to just grow bigger yourself. And that's really how I view it. When I did the stuff with Byron, and he's on a subscription-based whatever, I got messages from people, and they were surprised that I would go on his subscription-based thing with his members. He's like, don't you have your own thing? And I'm like, guys, there's enough room for everybody. Like, I think that's really a place that our industry is going to go to. I look forward to the day that major brokerages literally give options, almost like a Netflix, Hulu, all these different options that people do, where on their training portal, their intranet, they've got access to our brokerage training, and then another coach, and then another, and they let people kind of choose. Like, I don't think we need to ignore everybody in order to be seen. We don't need to close our eyes to everyone else in order for everyone to see us. I think there's enough room for everybody, and I really do mean that. Like, you'll hear me in the future promoting people that you think are competitors of mine, and I just view things different. I really do. Like, I'm confident in my place. I'm confident in, where we're going. And I'm not so insecure that I can't acknowledge that there's other good people that maybe you can learn something from. I think that's great. And I think the more that we do that kind of stuff as an industry, the better everybody is going to get, And so I'm on some front going to try to lead the charge on that and understand that I don't come from a scarcity mindset. I don't come from I think there's so much room for everyone, and I really do believe that, and I guess time will tell, especially as we start launching our new platform and doing that stuff. Time will tell. So
always does.
With that being said, Anything I missed? Anything major happened we didn't talk about?
I don't believe so. I mean, also though, I kind of live under a rock, so I don't.
I kind of live under a rock.
I don't do. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Did you just say you live under Iraq, where my wife is from? Is that what just happened?
Yeah.
Did you just make a comment about my wife's country?
Again,
how dare you?
Now we're circling back. That seems
How
like
dare
your
you?
stuff. Not this. That's not. I didn't say that.
Linda, I hope you heard that. Okay.
She's not gonna say hi to me anymore.
Said he lives under Iraq.
That's right.
Okay.
That's
You
right.
all heard it.
She's gonna say I'm here with Jared, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, that's right.
The next time she's here.
All right, you are canceled. Let's go. You didn't even say anything bad. You just had to say the country.
Yeah, that's all good. It's all
God,
right.
who was I? I was with my kids were telling me the other day they were at a thing, and they were naming like types of food or something. And one of my kids goes, "I don't really." No, one of their friends goes, "I don't really like Mexican food," and someone else was like, "I'm sorry, excuse me, racist." You don't like Mexican? And they were like, what? Like this person was serious. I'm like, oh my God, are we serious right now? Like, is this what's happening? Yeah, that was a thing.
I guess my stomach is racist because it's just a problem every time. Like, what do you want me to do?
Well, for the record, I love Mexican food.
I love Mexican food as
I
well,
actually
to be
do.
honest with you.
I could eat Mexican food. I used to say it was my favorite food, but now I like Persian food.
Sure.
It's healthy. We don't have any here, which shocks me.
Yeah, it's a bummer.
We have halal.
Right.
We have what we don't really have Mediterranean. They call it Mediterranean. It's like a mixture of Indian and whatever. It's not. But like a true Persian food, oh, I love it. And then I do love Mexican. And then it's just what mood am I in? Mexican, Italian. I mean, I just sometimes want some food.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all good.
As long as it's edible, man.
Yeah.
Right here.
I mean, I go for more than edible, but yes.
Yeah. me
I
too.
want it to
Yeah,
be
sometimes.
delightful.
Yeah.
All right. Did we miss anything else? I know you're under a rock. We've obviously got the advance coming up.
Yeah. Big time.
Depending on when you're hearing this, guys, I think this will be out before this weekend. So ticket prices go up this weekend. So you're going to have another ticket price. We released the agenda, which is really cool. You know, we're
Very
talking,
cool.
my God, we're talking everything from the things you need to hear, but in a way that actually makes sense. So we're going to talk about AI, but not how it takes over your business, like the practical stuff, like how it actually can help you. And you know, we're going to talk about things like scaling your business, building a team, or even for brokers and people out there, we're going to talk about mergers and acquisitions. We're going to talk about listings and how to get them, visibility. We're going to talk about, you know, all of this new stuff with buyers and the friction and what that means and how to overcome that. We're going to talk about what the open house of the future looks like, because that's really where the opportunity is. Let's actually just take a look here, because I feel like I'm going to miss something. And I don't want to do that, so I'm not sure why I did not have this on my my thing to talk about. But let me pull up real quick here. I'm going to pull up the advance, and let me see if I can look at this here. Let's look at the agenda. Let's see what I missed, okay? Oh, by the way, when you're coming to the advance, Orlando, September 19th and 20th, we are booking right now. I've got the what do you call it? They're in front of me right now. I'm picking the band for Friday night, September 20th. So guys, make sure your ticket for that night is not included in your regular ticket. You got to buy a ticket, because that's an expensive night for us.
Yes.
Right now, that ticket is only $49. That's about to go up to $99, okay? So make sure you get your tickets to the Friday night 10-year celebration. 10 years of the advance. Okay, so let me look here. Day one, I'm going to open it up, see what I talk about. We'll see. I'm going to do an interview. We're going to talk about the next era of real estate tech. That's going to be good. Amateurs don't get paid like pros. We have a really great interview with a lady who went through abuse and just terrible things and now owns hundreds and hundreds of units, and what that looked like. And so that's going to be a really cool thing. We've got our VIP lunch on day one. So they're going to have lunch with me, open forum Q&A.
So we'll get a lot of refunds right there.
That's where we get a lot of refunds. Look at this. Funny guy over here.
Hey-o,
Funny guy. Yeah.
yeah.
Tom.
I got you.
He's been under a rock.
That's right.
People like me, Tom, okay? They want to hear. I feel like, was it SNL? I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. Stuart? Oh my God, you don't know this.
I thought you were going to go
I forget how young you are.
I am young now.
Yeah, there was a thing of Stuart whatever from SNL, and he's like, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me. He would look in the mirror and say it.
I know Stuart from Mad TV.
All right, this is 15 seconds. They'll never get back.
Yeah,
Let's move
seriously.
on. All right, the open house of the future. We got Dan Stewart talking about contacts are worthless, relationships are priceless. The multiplier effect, we're going to talk about how you take a single transaction and turn it into multiple transactions. That'll be worth it right there. We got David Childers coming in from Keeping Current Matters on the market and how to leverage where we are in the market right now. I'm going to close it out day 2 with just a closing session on this next era of real estate and what it looks like and just life overall. And I always spend a lot of time kind of preparing for those. And then breakouts. We've got AI, how it works with your video, how to make it easier. We've got how to work with investors. We've got building your personal brand, how to be a new construction expert without just sitting in a show home, becoming the local mayor in your area, why you need to be on YouTube. We're doing 2 different YouTube sessions. One is going to be an introductory on YouTube, and the next is going to be kind of like a masterclass for those who don't need that introductory. We've got a how to crush it on camera, kind of a video thing, how to get used to camera, how to use camera, do those things. We've got, of course, building your team like a CEO. We've got a recruiting and retention session and a culture session for brokers and team leaders as far as what are agents actually looking for right now, what are they flocking to. Mastering the 6 areas of 6 secrets of sales psychology. We have a session on luxury listings, how to get luxury listings. And we get really niche with a lot of these. And that's what I kind of like, because when you get into breakout sessions, I think it's cool to be able to go to something you can't normally, like how to get luxury listings. I think that's how to break into that market. We've got a session specifically for new agents when you're starting out in real estate, how to get it right the first time, which I think is going to be awesome. We've got a leverage session, how to get more done doing less. We've got a circle prospecting session, how to circle prospect your way to an extra $100,000. That's going to be a good one. Yeah. How to hold an effective buyer's seminar. A team leader mastermind for all of you that have been in our team leader mastermind stuff. We're going to do a session just for you. Mergers and acquisitions. I mean, guys, there's going to be a lot here. Okay? So September 19th and 20th, Orlando, Florida, jaredjamestoday.com/advance. Get your team, yourself, your admin, your colleagues, yourself, whoever. Ticket prices are going up this weekend, so they're going to go up on Sunday. So when you're listening to this, get on that, guys. It's going to be so worth it. And then, like I said, we're going to end it off Friday night with our 10-year celebration bash. So although the event is Thursday and Friday, stay through to Saturday. It's going to be an awesome time that we are really going to enjoy. So anything else I missed, Tom?
The social mastermind? I don't know if you want to talk about
great job. So we're just about sold out on the social mastermind, okay? There's actually been people who I've said no to, and so we are technically at a point where, we're good. Mm-hmm. We could probably fit 2 or 3 more. So jaredjamestoday.com/social mastermind. It's August 17th and 18th, the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. And this is a, 2-day, 1.5 day in my suite, literally, 13 to 15 people. That's it. And this is, social media is modern day marketing. We are gonna pull back the curtain, bring you under the hood on, Byron said something yesterday which was really interesting. I said this to you on the phone earlier, and I never thought about this, but we were doing the podcast, and he introduced me, and he said, Jared James, he said, the man who has become more known, gained more followers, more whatever in 2024 than anyone in real estate. And I was like, I heard it, and I never really thought about it, and I was like, that sounds nice, but I was like, is that, is that real?
I'll take it.
I started thinking about it. We've, in the last 6 months on all the platforms, we probably gained 150, 200,000 followers that are real, not one fake. We've gotten over 40, 50 million views on our stuff. It's probably true. And so I heard that, and I was like, dang. And then I started thinking about the social media mastermind. And I was like, and that's the stuff that we're going to pull. You don't need to gain that many, but as a local person, if you can gain 10% of that, you will crush. But it was funny because when I was talking to his closed group and I was kind of pulling back the curtain on whatever, I saw one of the people in attendance because they had them all on Zoom. One of them, and I was getting very boring, but step by step. This is what I do. This is what whatever. And I saw one of them look at someone else and go like this, what? And I started thinking about, I guess, yeah, we don't really ever talk about this stuff, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes beyond just shoot a video, put it up, sound good and shoot and put it up. Like, there's so much more to that. And, you know, even in the beginning, I was breaking down for them, and like, I'm like, look, when you look at a topic, here's how you find a topic. Here's the places you look for. Here's the 2 ways that you look at it. You look at it from the perspective of, am I creating a forum where I'm not really giving an opinion? I'm just kind of like giving a forum of here's what's going on, and then I'm allowing people to, you know, conversate about it below in my forum, but I'm going to be the source. And so now I get a lot of comments and views and whatever and followers and whatever, but I'm just being the forum where this is happening. Or is this something where I am positioning myself as the expert, and I am the authority on this, and I'm giving an opinion? Like, most people don't even realize you have to, when you look at a piece of content and you're looking at delivering consistent content, that you have to figure out which one of those you're coming from, because then it shapes how you talk about it. It shapes your opinion. It shapes how you close the video. And I'm saying this, and even Byron's like, I've never really even thought of it like that. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's how I think about it. And as I'm saying it, I'm going, yeah, I guess people don't think like this. But this is why it works. You need to know whether you're creating a forum on this or if you are coming from a place of authority. And then that changes how you open, what the body is, how you close, what you're doing. And it's just there's a lot of things like that we are going to get step by step in that suite. And I'm going to have everybody on the spot. All right, guys, here's the 5 sources. Here's the places. Find me the best article that you could do a 90-second reel on right now, and you're going to pitch me right now. Why do you think that's good? Why is that good for your consumer, and why does your consumer want to share that with their consumer? Because that works the algorithm. It's about shares. It's not about, you know, how many likes, comments. It's about shareability. And so there's a way that you think about that. So why does that? And I'm going to actually, in a small group format, in a way that I really can't do anymore with anybody, I'm going to break it down for them on this is the process of how you know something is good, not good, the way you talk, the things you say, the reason why I make a video on, let's just say that Howard Hanna thing, you know, where they're going to offer 0.5%, and it goes to 150,000 views in one day, and somebody else makes it and it goes to 150 views. You got to start to ask yourself why, because the internet is open source. The internet is available to the whole world. The internet doesn't care whether it's me or you. And then when you start to realize that you know, I kind of made the joke earlier, but it's true. Like, you throw it into the AI whatever of your head, because I've trained my head to think like that. I know what to talk about. I know what the opening hook is. I know how to close it. Like, all of that is part of it. You're not just making content to make content, right? And so we're going to put people in a suite, and we're going to do that. And it is, less than a month away. Let's go. Mm-hmm. August 17th and 18th. And honestly, I could probably put a couple more people in. So jaredjamestoday.com/social mastermind, and meet me in Vegas, and let's do this. Like, what does your business look like if you're the most visible, most known agent in your marketplace, or the most known broker what's it look like? How much business are you losing right now because you're not the number one option all the time? Like, your job as an agent should be to get said no to the most, to be the most hated, to be the most rejected, also the most loved, because they're always the same thing, you know? But that only happens by being the most visible. And so I want to teach you guys how to do that. I'm going to bring you into the tinkering of my mind a little bit, and like how I actually like think about things. And, you know, we're going to bring you into the lab. Was it Eminem? With a pen and a pad? Yeah. We're going to bring you into the lab on what that looks like, okay? With just jeans and T-shirts, shorts and whatever. Like, we're just going to, this isn't a ballroom. This isn't 10,000 people. This is 10 to 15, you know? And we're going to send those people out and show them how to dominate their marketplace, which is going to be a really, really cool thing. So jaredjamestoday.com/social mastermind. I don't think you and I talked about it quickly. Are you available those dates?
I am. Yeah, I was actually going to start asking you pretty soon.
Yeah, I think you and I should talk, because I think I'm going to bring you out, and then the point of that would be to kind of, not only just as a helper, because I'm going to need help with stuff. Tom's kind of like my right man. He's got different roles, but like, it's kind of like at times he's got very specified roles like this, and then there's times I'm just like, Tom. Like, yeah. And the beauty of Tom is like, whatever, sounds good.
All right,
whatever
cool.
You need, cool.
Right away.
Yep.
Got it.
Tom is, and also Tom is great for that.
Yeah.
I'm saying Tom, but you're right there. For the
here.
audience, I'm saying Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always make things easy. Like, you always just like, got it, here we go, good.
That's why I try.
So we probably should start looking at that. So they get to meet the Tom.
The Tom, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's a very select handful of people. That's
who will
the
look
real...
different than maybe they met years ago.
Right. That is true. Definitely. Yeah. A lot different. Yeah.
Tom is 500 pounds.
Yes.
No, I'm just kidding. No, you did the shave of the head.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's gone forever.
Yep.
Yep.
You got the little Arm & Hammer, little beard going on.
Yeah, that's right.
Thing. All right. Yeah. So you guys get a chance to meet Tom.
It's the real draw.
Yeah. It's the real draw.
Yeah.
That's right. You guys get a chance to meet Tom, and I think I'm going to have you like bring a lot of the equipment we use and the stuff we do. And the real reason for that too is that I want them to be able, when they're asking, for example, when we're talking social and how we do our clips and everything, like what we do with the podcast and how it goes to all the different places, and just to be nice to talk to the person who's actually doing that. And then also I think that we're going to have like a little, on top of just doing the mastermind, I want to do something where we actually are like on the spot. Okay, make your videos. Okay, here's the stuff we use. Here's the And so I think that'll be really cool. So
that'll be awesome.
So with that being said, am I missing anything else?
I don't think so.
Awesome.
Good.
Well, we got some reads to do. I've got some events coming up.
Yes.
That I'm gonna need to. That was the other thing too. Yes. So that's why I was texting with Leo, the CEO of EXP. I'm going to Miami. Him and I are gonna meet up. And hang out a little bit, probably do a podcast, and yeah.
Sweet.
So that's why we were texting before I knew he was on vacation and whatever, is that, we were texting about something else, and then bam. So I'll be heading to Miami in September before the advance.
Nice. First
First week of September, I'm going to do a couple nights in Miami. And then, so this should be good. This is why I always say, like, I just talked about Howard Hanna, and now I'm talking about that with EXP, and I'm going to be with Nick this week, former CEO of Remax, but even the current president of Remax, Amy, like me and my wife were just talking about her, and we're just like, she's awesome. We love her. We actually, Amy, if you're listening, we meant to shoot a video and send it to you. We were going to text it to you and just say, hey, how are you and whatever. And then I'm only remembering right now that we didn't do it. So I'd like credit that we were going to do it, because we completely forgot once we got out of the gym. So the intent was there.
Whoops.
Yeah, the intent was there, But then you look at, look, we're brand agnostic, man. Like you look at all that. I was just messaging the other day with Mike Meadler from Century 21. I was just talking to Alex from ERA. I was just talking, like, whatever, like, guys, I just root for the industry. That's it. I just root for the industry. I want you all to do well, whether you're at where you're at, whether you move somewhere else. I just want you all to have great lives.
That's it.
I want you to do well in business, be able to do what you want in your life, and I'm committed to doing that, which is part of why we're releasing what we're going to be releasing very soon.
Right. All of it. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
All right, love you all. We'll see you next episode. And like I said, we're creating a podcast studio, so there's going to be a lot more of these coming out.
Yes.
Talk to you. Bye-bye.